This is macOS Ken.
Apple's market cap touches $4 trillion. CNET says iPhone Air's battery is fine, actually. And where POTUS goes, CEOs follow. It is Wednesday, the 29th of October, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Nord Layer. Secure your network, block threats to your business, and save 10% with code macOSKen-10 at nordlayer.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Apple on Monday was admitted into the $4 trillion market cap club. Then it remembered it left something in the car, stepped out to get it, went back to the club, and couldn't get back in. Fun for a minute, though, and they could easily be readmitted. According to a piece from Mac Rumors, Apple's market capitalization briefly surpassed $4 trillion just after opening Tuesday, making it the third public company to reach that figure. NVIDIA was the first to cross that line a few months ago, though it's eyeing a $5 trillion market cap at this point. Microsoft got in at about the same time. Then it remembered it left something in the car, stepped out to get it, went back to the club, and couldn't get back in. It did eventually, though. Yesterday. How did Apple cross that threshold? Well, it would be easy to say it was the iPhone 17. Certainly a lot of sources give that credit, including Mac Rumors. Still, you gotta figure the halo of positivity about which JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee wrote earlier this week was in play. Dodging tariff trouble, gangbuster services revenue, an easing of regulatory concerns. It's almost never just one thing. It's a pastiche, a mise en scène, a je ne sais quoi. That said, folks are focusing on iPhone 17, and who can blame them? iPhones are very visible and relatively trackable. Still, services should not be ignored. Would have been really tough to do that on Tuesday, thanks to a piece from the Financial Times. According to that, Apple is set to top $100 billion in annual revenues from its services business for the first time this year, despite mounting legal and regulatory pressure on the App Store. Citing analyst consensus estimates, the piece says Apple's services segment, which includes the App Store, iCloud, Apple Care, Apple Pay, and various subscription services of the company's own, all of those services are expected to deliver annual revenues of $108.6 billion for fiscal year 2025. That's up about 13% from fiscal year 24. If that ends up being the case, it will be big. Really big. Numbers like those would make Apple's services segment bigger than the entire annual sales of Walt Disney, Tesla, or Tencent in 2025, according to the report. But you know, it's all iPhone. Can you stand the suspense, the torture of not knowing whether Apple actually did make over $100 billion off of services in a year? Well, it's only a thing for another day. Apple will report fourth quarter fiscal year 2025 earnings tomorrow, Thursday, the 30th of October. Numbers will hit via press release after the close of trading, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. Then at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, Apple execs will hit the phones with financial analysts for a bit of Q&A. You can listen live as that happens on Apple's site. It'll be made available as a podcast a few hours later. And of course, I'll recap bits big and not quite as big on Friday. Remember how the battery on iPhone Air was supposed to suck? Turns out not, according to CNET. 9to5Mac highlights the site's findings. The site is said to have tested batteries on all of Apple's latest phones a few ways, including an anecdotal stress test, a video streaming test, and observing battery life after everyday use. On the first test, putting the iPhones through 45 minutes of power-intensive usage. iPhone Air dropped 5% of its stored charge. iPhone 17 dropped 2%. iPhone 17 Pro dropped 2%. And iPhone 17 Pro Max dropped 1%. The video test had testers streaming video over Wi-Fi for 3 hours with the screen at maximum brightness, consuming more power than the general consumer would generally consume. On that one, iPhone Air dropped 15% of its stored charge, iPhone 17 dropped 11%, iPhone 17 Pro dropped 15%, and iPhone 17 Pro Max dropped 9%. That last one is really notable, according to 9to5Mac. In its years of testing, that was the first time CNET saw an iPhone drop less than 10% of its stored charge from the video test. As for everyday use, the piece has a CNET senior technology reporter who tested iPhone Air for weeks, regularly ending the day with her battery at about 20%. She said it would drop below 20% on heavier use days, according to the report. Still, she was quoted as saying the iPhone Air consistently lasted all day over the several weeks she used it for test and review. Speaking of battery concerns, Toyota is turning on a feature for some of its electric vehicles and Apple Maps. Engadget ran a piece Tuesday that had the automaker making a change for all of its battery electric vehicles made since 2023. According to the car company's announcement, Apple Maps can now access real-time vehicle information to efficiently navigate iPhone users to compatible chargers on the way to their destinations, taking into account factors like battery performance and elevation changes. It's a big deal for owners of those cars and a big deal for CarPlay. Engadget points out that EV charger routing requires access to the car's battery info, which means automakers must work with Apple to enable the feature. Until this week's announcement, the piece says the only compatible vehicles were the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the F-150 Lightning, and the Porsche Taycan. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, NordLayer, a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. $8 per month. NordLayer combines VPN, access control, and threat protection in one easy-to-use platform, and it all starts at $8 per user per month. That's tools to keep ransomware, phishing, and malware attacks from reaching your staff. Secure remote access to internal systems for your IT people. A security platform for all of your platforms, including Windows, macOS, iOS, Android, and Linux. All of that with no heavy lifting. No new hardware, no complex setup. Just quick deployment and step-by-step onboarding, all backed by 24/7 support and all starting at $8 per user per month. Strengthen protection for your business today. Get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus another 10% savings with coupon code MacOSKen-10 at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. Keep your workers working safely and guard against outside threats with NordLayer. Get up to 22% off yearly plans, plus 10% off with coupon code MacOSKen-10 at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. Apple's next round of OS updates could or should be out any minute. 9to5Mac ran a few pieces yesterday that had Apple seeding release candidates for version 26.1 of iOS, iPadOS, macOS, watchOS, and tvOS to developers and public beta testers. Talk had been that those would be out to the public by the end of October. October ends Friday, so Apple's next round of OS updates could, or should, be out any minute. I thought long and hard about this next story. Might have ignored it, except I made the mistake of saying to my special lady friend, what I really want to say is, to which she said, say it. I'm not blaming her. I actually thank her because she's right. If there's something I want to say, I should say it. About the only issue I took with what she said in the conversation was that I should not be afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm just tired of it. But there are people more tired than me, people with more to lose than me, and I should say what I can while I can, and hope that we'll all be able to express ourselves freely for generations to come. Apple CEO Tim Cook is in Japan because President Trump is in Japan. Or was anyway. Mac rumors had Cook joining the president and other technology executives from the US and Japan Tuesday at a closed-door dinner in Tokyo in an effort to promote Japanese investment in the US. It's not like Cook wouldn't have had other stuff to do while he's there. The piece points out that Japan is one of Apple's most important markets. The company sources a range of critical components from the country, such as image sensors from Sony, panels from Sharp and JDI, batteries from Murata, and more. That said, Cook did not speak at the event, according to the report. No Apple-specific investments or policy announcements were disclosed, and Cook doesn't seem to have been invited to the Prime Minister's state dinner, according to a piece from Apple 3.0. Now, as the gentleman who emailed me a couple of weeks ago pointed out, maybe something's happening about which I don't know. I acknowledged then that that was possible, and I acknowledge that again now. But it looks bad. The president goes to England, Cook goes to England. The president goes to Japan, Cook goes to Japan. There was some other event, can't remember which one, but there was some other event that a number of CEOs did attend, but Cook did not, and the president noted publicly that Cook wasn't there. It looks, well, we'll come back to what it looks like in a moment. While the dinner was not public, according to Mac rumors, some of what was said has made it out. According to a piece from 9 to 5 Mac, following a ceremony at the U.S. ambassador's residence in Tokyo, where a $490 billion U.S.-Japan investment was announced, Trump delivered a roughly 40-minute speech before the dinner that followed. During his speech, the piece says, he praised Tim Cook, mentioning Apple's American manufacturing program, which encompasses multiple domestic investments totaling $600 billion. You've heard that number, right? $600 billion. Here's what Trump said, according to 9 to 5 Mac. Tim Cook is doing, I think, like $600 or $650 billion, right? Think of it. You've done more than the entire group here. We raised $518 billion, and it is one man sitting here at $650. How soon do you suppose before Apple's American manufacturing program is magically at $650 billion or higher? 600 or $650 billion, right? That sounds like the start of the President of the United States squeezing Apple for more money. So here's my question. What would you have thought if Biden or Obama had tried that? If any Democratic politician demanded that CEOs from some of the biggest companies in the country acted as his entourage, as his traveling royal court, every time he went anywhere? See also tearing down a wing of the White House without warning, rolling troops into cities that voted against them, and intentionally stoking division with the opposing party. If you support the current administration, ask yourself what you'd have thought or how you'd have felt if those previous administrations had done the exact same things. News of a new pickup for Apple TV. Deadline ran a piece Tuesday that had the Cupertino streamer picking up the rights to the Dark Horse comic Last Flight Out. Apple Original Films landed the package, which sources say was in the seven-figure range according to the report. It'll develop the project along with Chernin Entertainment. According to the comic's description on Amazon, with Earth rendered uninhabitable, humanity has chosen to evacuate to the stars. But with just 24 hours left until the last arc, designed to evacuate Earth's residents, leaves forever, its designer's estranged daughter goes missing. Last Flight Out tells the story of an absentee father trying to make amends with his daughter during the end of the world. Hey, remember when everybody worried that Apple's video offerings would be happy and sing-songy? That was about 1.5 million years ago. And finally today, as one Apple TV Mick Herron show ends, another begins. The season finale for Season 5 of Slow Horses has hit the streaming service. For me personally, this is good news for a couple of reasons. First, I can finally watch Season 5 of Slow Horses. I tend to binge whole seasons over a single weekend. And second, the end of one Mick Herron series makes room for another. Starting its run now on Apple TV Plus is Down Cemetery Road. A description from 9 to 5 Mac says in this one, a house explodes in a quiet Oxford suburb and a girl disappears in the aftermath, causing neighbor Sarah Tucker to become obsessed with finding her, enlisting the help of private investigator Zoe Boehm. Zoe and Sarah suddenly find themselves in a complex conspiracy that reveals that people long believed dead are still among the living, while the living are fast joining the dead. Ruth Wilson plays the neighbor, Emma Thompson plays the PI. It looks as darkly humorous and gritty as Slow Horses, and I may not wait for the full season. The first 2 episodes of Down Cemetery Road are up now on Apple TV. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Nord Layer. Save 10% with code macOSKen-10 at nordlayer.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macOSKen.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.